Yo peeps, how we doing? Well, Bear back again. I have to apologize to everybody first of all for the lack of updates in the last month or so. It's been pretty crazy. I've been trying to put in some decent volume here to turn this little bankroll challenge around. Not only that, the last few weeks I've been dying from food poisoning. Wife is now banned from cooking permanently. So it's been really pretty crappy. I last two streams in the last week and a bit I've had to cancel. I've just not been well enough to do it. It's a bitch. Any of you have been down that road before, you'll know where I'm coming from. It's when you're absolutely dying there, can't eat properly. Both ends are just not not working properly. It's a bit of a nightmare. But we're on the road to recovery. Still not 100%, but hey, we're not far back from getting to full strength, as the saying goes. So let's give you an update where we're at. Okay, so the last time we did a bankroll update out with the stream, actually on YouTube and stuff like that, was, would you believe it, at the near of the end of January. Now this is now what, the 9th of March, so we're out by a month here or so, which is not ideal. So again, like I say, my apologies. So just to give you a wee refresh, we were around about 26,000 hands. We should have been up about 35, 40 bucks roughly. And we were down about, if I remember rightly, it was about here. It was round about here. We were down about 60 bucks. So it was round about here when we last did an update. So as you can see, Bear's luck always sucks like balls. So Tonka man, you can bite my backside and suck my bobby when you say never run so good and team unlucky. Pwah! Trust me, I'd like to see you match this puppy. Looking at this, as you can see, we then went with the graph here. Here's the EV graph. So really we should have been up 46 bucks, and then we go down. Here's the actual monetary aspect, and then we go on a absolutely sick run. Now I am talking 70-30s losing, 80-20s losing, kings coming up against aces, once every 850 to 900 hands, when it should be once every 9,000 hands. My kings were coming up against aces and basically getting stacked almost every time. I think I managed to avoid it once, where we didn't get it all in pre, and an ace on the flop saved my ass. So it's just been absolutely ludicrous. So as you can see here, here's the EV graph. And here's the monetary graph here. And as you can see, as it goes along here, we're near enough even here at one point. And we were down nearly, 190 bucks. We then go on this sick where we start to actually pull it back a little bit here after 101,000 hands. So 26,000 hands when you got the last update, we were here. We then go on this sick downswing here. Really sick. And the EV graph, well, it goes down, but then it comes back up and then it stabilizes a little bit here. But the monetary graph just keeps plowing to the bottom of the ocean like the friggin' Titanic. 100,000 hands here, 101,000. We start to make a recovery here. So at one point, we were $327 down, 33 buy-ins down, which is absolutely disgusting. If you can see here, we're nearly break even here. Should have been down maybe 8 or 9 buy-ins, down 32. I mean, just don't tell me that's not a bad downswing. We start to pull it back and we think, yeah, man, we should have been up about $70. We were actually down technically on the monetary front, $770. That's 17 buy-ins. We then get to a break-even point here, this line here, where we're our lowest ebb ever. A lot of people would have just lost the will to live at this point. $356 down, 36 buy-ins down when we should be basically even. Right? And that's allowing for all the sick suckouts, the 2-outers, etc., and all this sort of crap. So, for example, I'm setting it up for a river shove, right? And I get 2-outed. I get the money in. Doesn't matter. On the EV graph, it says I'm getting it in bad. Do you know what I mean? Because the money's gone in on the river. So all those shit spots would show on the graph here. So as you can see here, $370 down near as damn it there, when I should have basically been near as damn it even. That's how bad it got. And as I say, a lot of people would have just imploded. Anyway, looked at my hands again, talked to a few people. I want a big shout out to Duffer. Thanks for your help, man. It is genuinely much appreciated. Pointed out a few little areas where I could tweak on to help me improve my win rate, for example, from the blinds and stuff like that. A couple of spots where, you know, it's easy fixes, but it's just you need a second opinion. Do you know what I mean? Where you think, well, look, you know, just tweak that. And it is tweaks. It's not like a major overhaul of the game. It's just like sort that little spot out there, sort that little spot out there, and it makes such a big difference. So Adam as well, Paleface, thanks man. Again, looking at some of my hands, and you know, again, giving some good suggestions. And like I say, two heads are always better than one when it comes to reviewing your work. So there's a little tip for you people. When you are looking at it, no matter what you think, no matter how much you go through a strategy, it's always nice to get a second opinion from somebody that's a regular, that knows what they're talking about. Yeah. Okay, so here's where we've got to. So basically we then go on this pretty stabilizing factor here, but still shit down here. And I mean shit. You know, we should be up and we're down like stupid amounts, 30 buy-ins. Anyway, we've been working really hard on our blind strategy, small and big blind, to try and minimize the losses there. Working on our ranges with regards to spreading out a little bit more, being a little bit more risque, making ourselves a little bit more unreadable, and balancing our range so that we do get paid off a lot more. I've never been a tight bastard. People always accuse me of that. I always have mixed it up in cash games to the point whereby you could almost call me laggy at points. And I am pretty loose, but there again, I can be as tight as fuck as well. So the idea that I'm mixing it up is also helping me out against people who have got a lot of data on me, and I have obviously got a lot of data on them. So it gives me a much better chance of getting paid when I get a hand, or a decent hand. So anyway, bringing you up to date here. We took a little bit of hit here. I'll just show you that in a second. A couple of buy-ins down here at the last run there before our stream tonight, which will be at 8 o'clock. But as you can see here, the EV graph has gone up pretty well. We should be up about over 20 buy-ins, over $200 technically. When we've got our money in, we should be at least $200 up right now. Let me just see here. Yeah, $200. We are down 116 in reality. So it's a pretty sick graph. You can't deny that, and as I say, it's taken a lot of mental strength to power through this bullshit. But we're more than set up well now to get the money into the positive over the next few weeks. EV graph's going in the right direction. A little hiccup at the end there, but that's an easy fix. And then we can power on to from $10 to 25 zoom, and then obviously up to 50 zoom. That is the objective, is to beat these fucking Russians, and get some money in the piggy bank so we can climb up the zoom stakes. So that is where we are at right now. So what I want to do here is show you a few hands to make it interesting. So you've got an update where we're at. Okay, I'm going to play through a few sick hands here. A couple of coolers, etc., and then obviously show you a few winning hands. So in the last session we lost a couple of buy-ins, which is a bit of a bummer, but I'm going to save some of that data for the stream tonight. But let me just have a wee look at a couple of sessions here where we lost money and we should have won money, and we'll go back a little bit here if I can find it, because there was a couple of nasties here where I was like, get real, do you know what I mean? So give me a wee second, I'll get that for you. So we'll play through a couple of these just now. Here's one of the ones here, 2 buy-in hit here from this particular spot, which is pretty sick. So we get a raise out in the country here. He's got $25, 2.5 buy-ins. I got 23, so I'm doing pretty well here. I called on the bottom with a pair of 5s, pretty standard stuff. Flop comes down at 6, 5, ace, 2 Hartalinos. So we flopped set, which is very tasty. We get a standard C-bet here, and I like to raise this up. Obviously, I want to build the pot here. I've got a set. This is looking cool. There's an ace out there, which is pretty cool. So I'm hoping he's got something like ace king, ace queen, you know, along those lines, which is nice. And then he just does this. He just smashes it in my face for $9.12. So I'm thinking, what the hell is doing that? So I'm thinking, why would you smash it with a set of aces here? You know, we just, you know, obviously, you know, maybe he's scared of the flush draw or whatever. So obviously the first thing comes to mind here is he's worried of the flush draw. So I'm more thinking, is that an ace king or an ace queen? And really, he caught me off guard because I was playing another hand at the same time, which was a little tricky, and I was thinking about that, and I thought, and I just didn't really pay attention to the smash of the size of the bet. I don't have much data on this guy at all, but you all know at these sort of stakes, if it looks like a donkey, smells like a donkey, it's a fucking donkey. Do you know what I mean? So if that looks like a massively strong bet, it is a massively strong bet. It's a strong bet for a friggin' reason. Anyway, so I look at that and go, fuck it, man. I gotta say here, screw this. He's skated a flush draw. Meanwhile, I'm still thinking about this big hand on the other table for 2 buy-ins. And I thought, ABC, in we go. So smash it in his face. A lot of you would say this is standard, but this is one where it's worth thinking about. Now, if this was PLO or whatever, you know what I mean, bottom set, you shit your pants. You know what I mean? And good players will be good at folding bottom set. I know it's all hypothetical, etc. And you can see it's results orientated, but he's made a smashing, massive move with a big stack for a reason. Anyway, I lump it in with my set. He bites my paw off. 4 comes, no heart on the river, and I'm like that. Runs it twice. It makes no difference, man. It's set, clearly overset. Not aces this time, 6s. And it's like, and at the end of the hand, I'm thinking to myself, did I have to lose all that money? Could I really have thought that one through a bit better? And a lot of people say, you're just looking at it better, it's a cooler, move on, get on with it, blah, blah, blah. But it was just the size and the smash there from somebody who I don't have much data on, and it was just like a beast of a move. Do you know what I mean? So maybe that's one for us to think about. At these low stakes play things, when people smash it, right? Unless they're a complete donkey and you've got history on that, they're doing it for a reason. Do you know what I mean? And I was a little disappointed that I just played that ABC and got it in with 5s, thinking about that for 2.5 buy-ins in that hand. So it's one of those ones where I still chew over it and think, you know what? Ugh. Anyway, we know now against that particular player, if we come up against him again, there's a case for, be careful. Another hand here in the same session here. We'll just make that a little bit bigger for you so you can all see. Sorry, people. Let's get that up. There we go. Hopefully you can see that okay. Bear with a pair of 9s here in the cutoff. Pretty decent hand. It's not fantastic, but it's still good at 6 max. We go for a raise. Call from the small blind. And we got about 89 hands in this guy. And he's a tight bastard. He doesn't 3-bet. Okay, he'd like to put money in the pot, but his pre-flop raise and his 3-bets are like non-existent. So he likes to see flops, basically, but pre-flop, he's not aggressive at all. He's a pretty passive monkey. Okay, so we get a 10-6 deuce with a pair of 9s. He checks. We bet out 40, standard. He just calls. 4 comes, alright, so and then he leads out. And I'm like, right, interesting. What are we leading out here? Pair 10, a 10 maybe. So we just like to call it here, keep him honest. And a 9 comes on the river. So we're thinking, Gin, hope you've got like King 10, Ace 10, something along those lines. And we'll be loving this all the way to the piggy bank because it's like ka-ching here. He bets 110, standard looking value bet with a 10. We raise him up 410, thinking, give me your money, man. Rubbing it on my titties here. Feeling my crotch here. Just hoping that he makes a stupid move and just goes, I got ace 10 and slams it in my face. Which he does slam it in my face. To which I'm going, lovely man, thank you. Snuffalinos. So I bite his balls off, obviously. And I can't believe the cards I see. I cannot believe the cards I see. 7-8. And I'm like, I just didn't see that one. Did not see that one at all. He called in a gutter and then donk led small on the turn, right? With the double gutter, isn't it? 4, yeah, so 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Double gutter, 5 and a 9. Now, the thing is, even if I raise him up, he's calling me off. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, with a pair of 9s, why would you want to raise on a 6 deuce 4 10 board flush? When you could potentially be behind, you want to keep the pot small to try and get to showdown here and assess on the river. So I don't see any logic in raising on the turn there. He's made it so cheap for me, and just a shit river card. And I definitely call that one a cooler. I just, I just don't see how I can get away from that. And that's a pretty sick one. against the 7-8. So I'm pretty sure he was like, "Yeah, got you, bear," and I'm like, "Fucking bitch." So nasty, nasty, nasty. So that was pretty unlucky. Jacks here. We'll play this puppy out, and we'll then show you three from this session, and then what we'll do is we'll run through a few winning hands where we absolutely pwned a few fishies. So we're going to raise here, we're going to call. Now in this position, I've really got two potential options here. 12 bucks there, this guy got 85 hands, this guy got 345 hands on, and this guy likes 3-bet pre-flop. He hasn't 3-bet here, so he's not that strong based on this info. The other guy likes a 3-bet, got 85 hands on him, pretty solid player. So I can't flat to see a flop here. And if the big blind starts getting cute, then I could potentially 4-bet him here with my jacks. I'll just get it in on him. At the same time, I can also squeeze with jacks, which I think is also fine in a 6-max game, which is what I do. So I squeeze pretty decent here. And then I get 4-bet. And this is a horrible spot. And this is a problem with a hand like jacks out of position. Because really, calling here and then assessing on the flop, bearing in mind the percentage stack we have. But then I know this guy pre-flops pretty aggro. 14% on his 3-bet is really high. That's at the top end here. You know, so sample size is not huge, but it's still a decent indicator that pre-flop, this guy's a pretty aggressive bastard. Okay, so as I say, we get it in, and it's like, I mean, if you think about it, if we call, which we could do, right, it's 190 here, yeah, 150, 190, leaving us with about, close to $6. Just over half our stack. Obviously, it's an ABC on the flop. Or we can just get it in and think, well, if I'm against an ace-king, an ace-queen, pair of 10s, pair of 9s, so in one way I'm on the better side of a flip, the other way I'm crushing. And now I'm thinking about it. I'm losing to aces, kings, and queens. Only 3 hands beat me here. And bearing in mind he's pre-flop, he's pretty aggro. It's not a bad shout to get it in here. So we get it in, snaps me off, flop comes down ace, and I'm like, fuck, why didn't I call? Why didn't I call? Because obviously ace on the flop, I'm gone. Ace, king, it's like boom. So there's it is run twice, no joy, and he had aces, which is just bitching. So unlucky, bearing in mind he's pretty aggressive pre-flop, so just the way it goes, I suppose, in that one. So the question is, do we call on the flop there? I think getting it in with jacks is not a bad mistake, if we know our opponent is pretty aggro with hands like ace-queen, ace-king, which this guy is, and ace-jack suited and stuff like that. So just the way it goes, Unlucky. So there you go. There's a few hands from a recent session. Now let's show you a few tasty hands where we've mixed it up a little bit here. And yeah, let's bring this one out here, and I'll get you 3 winning hands, and then that'll be us up to date, people, as of the 9th of March, where we are in the Bankroll Challenge. And as I say, we're moving in the right direction there. We're up now reasonably well on the EV front. We're going to need to keep that going, but the key thing, obviously, is to get in the positive on the money. Yeah. So here we are with 8-9 suited on the button. Nice hand. We're going to raise from under the gun. And I just call. I have been mixing it around, but my stack's not deep enough. If I was on $20 here, I could easily 3-bet that to rep something pretty strong. And if I get 4-bet, I can still play the hand in position. If I get a call, then I've just taken the initiative off him and making him really guess what I've got. An 8-9 suited 3-bet to an on the gun raise it can be quite deceptive. So and I do like to mix it up a wee bit. But anyway, we smash the flop, open ender, plus flush draw. It's like Licolinos here, do you know what I mean? We are slurping and drooling at that flop. So we get a check here. Obviously we got the big blind coming along for the ride. We get a bet of 50, and I elect to raise it up. This guy, I have no data on him, but he's raising under the gun. We expect to put him on a decent range. We want to build the pot here. We've got a beast, and if he slams it in my face, I do not care. With this type of flop, that hand is going in. We are not pissing around. So the big blind gets out of the way, and he just calls. So queen comes on the turn. That could be a very good card for me, especially if he's got something like an ace-queen hand and he's floated for one. King-queen hand, with a king-queen hand call, raise on the flop. It could do if it was suited, but we don't want it to be suited. Excuse me, lack of oxygen there. But he could have queens full now, for all I know. So potentially that could be quite tasty for me. So he checks again, and I actually go for a dirty little check there. Okay, keeping it small. I could have barreled again here, but at the same time, I get a free card. So if I barrel and he puts me in, then I have to really go for it, which is not ideal because I'm getting it in potentially quite a bit behind than I was on the flop. At this point, he's given me a free card. I can take the free card. I still have position. I could rep the 10, depending on what he does on the turn. So if he doesn't do anything on the turn, there's a lot of scare cards that could come out, like that one, for example. It's like bingo! Piggy bank. Now I'm praying to God he has got something like ace-queen of spades, king-queen of spades, ace something of spades, the flush. Technically the second nut flush or something along those lines. And now he leads into me here, you know what I mean? No checky. And that's a strong bet. 380 to 395. Pretty ABC. I'm praying to God that actually has put him into the soapy bubbles. Obviously it's in it goes, man. Loving it. Praying for a quick call, which we get. And he has 8-9. So we both had 8-9. And he's happy to just snuffle that puppy up there with the straight. So can't grizzle about that. If I bet on the turn, right, he would have probably called me. He could have actually jammed there with the flush draw, open-ended flush draw, etc., etc., etc. We're both in basically the exact same spot. So technically he's rolling me on clubs and I'm rolling him on spades. So that's pretty brutal, I have to say. So that queen of clubs actually did end up being very, very succulent. And the 6 was just brutal for him in the end. Unlucky man. But would you a bit of luck, hey, as this thing goes. Here we go, peeps. Second last hand before we call this an end to this little summary session of hands and review. So here we are with 6-3. Bear likes to mix these little hands up here, especially in mid to late position. So we raise with 6-3 suited. It's loose. It's in the cutoff. Obviously we're blind stealing, but we're reasonably. Once we're not deep here, but we can still call a 3-bet here if we get 3-bet. In position, especially from the blinds here, and that's what happens. Now the small blind raises me up pretty hard here, and it's like, I'm not a huge fan of calling big 3-bets from the blinds with these sort of holdings, but I have position, point 1. I have a deceptive hand, point 2. It is trappy, and I do have quite a lot of information, got over 500 hands in this guy, about this guy's particular range. So even if I completely airball the flop, right, I can still potentially outplay this person, and I've done it on numerous occasions whereby I know I'm up against an ace-king, ace-queen hand. It's like that, and the guy's just missed, right? He barrels. I float with basically almost shit because I know he's missed. He again does a scared bet on the turn. He's wide open to be abused, and obviously I like to abuse. So in this pot, I thought, right, well, okay, I do have a lot of data on this guy. Pretty polarized with his range, the way he's done this. So I've got, several hands in the head here with what he's going. So I call off with 6-3 suited. Flop comes down, and that is just really, you don't get much better than that apart from flopping the bloody flush with that. So we've got a lovely little hand here. Flush draw. We got the gutter in there as well, which is super nice. And it's a low flop with no ace or king on it, which is tasty. So he bets 120, so standard looking C bet, so we just like to call it here. Boom, board pairs. I just don't see him 3-betting so hard with 7s or 4s there, more likely call. So we genuinely believe we're ahead here, unless we've been super unlucky and he's got something like ace queen or ace king of clubs, and if that's the case, then that's just c'est la vie, you know what I mean. It's 490 in there, the board has paired. Okay, he now checks, and I put a little teasy bet in. Now, if he's got things like aces, kings, and queens, with one of them being a club, he's definitely going to call that bet. especially if he's got the ace or king of clubs. All right, so if he's got kings or aces, because I don't mind now, right? I'm ahead here, I believe, as long as I don't see an ace or a king on the river, and definitely not another club, then I know I'm going to get called. I'm giving him a decent price. You know, he's getting almost 3-1 on his money here. This is tasty, and I'm setting it up for a river shove here. Okay, so it's succulent, it's juicy. He calls. 8 comes. I believe that's the safest houses. There's 990 in the middle. He's only got $6 left. Obviously, I've set it up tastily there. He checks again. I bang it in, and I'm thinking overpair. He's going to probably have to do a crying call here, reluctantly. All right. And he duly obliges. And what does he have? Ace Queen. I couldn't believe that, by the way. I could not believe that. Now, yes, ace king, ace queen with a club, I can understand. But a hero call on the river with an ace high, even with the club in there, I'm like, whoa. I actually genuinely was expecting worst case scenario to see an ace queen or an ace king with, you know, either an ace or a king of clubs in there, or more than likely an overpair, like probably queens, you know, maybe jacks. Yeah, jacks plus possibly. Making some sort of like desperate call on the river there. But wow, when I saw ace queen, I went boom, piggy bank. Thank you very much. And obviously we put a note on his little account. Thank you very much, Mr. Pay Machine. Okay. Bring it on to our last hand, peeps. I'm going to call this time. It's going on for just over 25 minutes, which is a bit too long, but I wanted to give you an update and a few hands, so it's entertaining. Here we are, biggest hand of the last few sessions. We won about $16 on this. $16, man. Watch this puppy. You're going to pee your pants with fun and excitement. And this is what makes these low-stakes Zoom sessions so challenging, is the variety of playing standards. You just don't know sometimes what you're up against, and what people will pay you with is like, what the fuck? You saw that ace queen hand and it was like, how can you fucking pay the river? But you know, I'm not going to complain. I'll take his money if he doesn't want it. That'll buy me a few stellars. So raise under the gun here. We get a call here from Alex 2. Fine. We get another caller who comes along for the ride. So we go 3-way, and then suddenly, boom. Now I was in and 2 table. I always 4 table when I'm doing Zoom off stream, and I had 2 other tables running at the time, one with a really difficult spot, because I remember seeing this, and I saw the raise, I did the raise, and then I glanced back and went, what the fuck? This guy's just gone all in for 682. Well, I'm never folding kings here. I don't give a flying fuck. If he's got aces, then good on him, man. And so, obviously, we just get it in. Standard, not a problem. I actually thought about calling here, but I thought, just screw it, man, just get it in, you know, because if I just call there, it looks strong to these guys. At the same time, if I jam, it looks like I'm potentially ISOing. So, you know, Alex, for example, could have something like a pair of 9s, a pair of 10s, and thinks that could be an ace queen or an ace king trying to ISO, and he's got a decent pair, like middle pair, and he could call me off. So just bumping it in rather than just flatting it gives me a chance of maybe getting one of these tuners to come along for the ride. But anyway, Alex gets out of the way, but my magic comes for the ride. Now remember, it was raise, call, call, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? So, you know, when he calls off, I'm like, what range are you on? Do you know what I mean? Because there's no way that's aces or kings, right? No chance in hell. I doubt it's queens. It could be maybe 10s or jacks, which is basically what I was hoping one of these 2 guys possibly had. Bearing in mind with me just banging it in there, because he might think I'm trying to ISO with, like I say, a hand of ace king, ace queen. So it's like slurpaments here. So now I'm thinking, well, what the fuck has this guy got for 682 that he's happy to jam to a 30 cents raise and 2 callers? Do you know what I mean? So obviously it's well, it's all loving it at the moment. Flop comes down queen 9-4. We don't see an ace, so we're like, hallelujah. Just don't show me a diamond on a turn or an ace, because that would be most upsetting. 2 is a nice safe card for us, technically speaking, because neither of these 2 should have things like 4s and 2s the way they've played it. And 9 on the river, giving us 2 pair. Dancer. So as long as nobody's got a set of queens or quad 9s, we're laughing. So cards turn over. Watch this for a laugh, people. Watch this. Okay, so the guy that called, remember it was raise, call, call for 30 cents, 680 shove, overshove by myself, right? With the ISO as a strategy, as I said, gets called for his full fucking stack with Jack Queen off. I mean, it's like, thanks, man. Anyway, thank God no another Queen or Jack came out, because I don't want to puked. And tens humped it in with 682. So gambling 682 to win what, 90 cents? I don't think mathematically that's very clever. Best case scenario, you're on the right side of a flip, so what we call 682 shove there. Think about it. You're gambling 682 to win 90 cents plus the blinds. I mean, what? It's like donk stuff, but this is donk level, remember, so you have to make adjustments. So, but the Jack Queen, when that called as well, it was like, my God. Jesus. So we're not going to grizzle about that. So our hand holds, thank God. And $16 whistles its way on the way to bear, which is really nice. So there you go. There you can see the run just recently. It's not been too bad. Took a bit of a hit here on this one, but we didn't run particularly well. A couple of buy-in hit there, but we've been chipping away nicely. We've got nearly 5 buy-in up there, one there. That was actually 4 buy-ins up at one point, by the way. And my God, did we take some smashes there. Look at that one there. $23, $13, 4 and $2, but no, there's was 2, 3, and it's nearly 4 buy-ins in 2 hands. I'll show them on the stream for the boys and girls, but really nasty shit in those, and very entertaining as well. So there you go, peeps. That is us fully up to date. Thank you very much for your patience. Remember, we stream Mondays and Thursdays, unless we're dying of food poisoning. As I said, the wife is banned from cooking permanently. And it's 8 o'clock UK time with lots of very delicious giveaways. And we have the jackpot sitting at about $54 with my piece of paper here. $54, and we're adding to it every week. So that jackpot will keep going up until somebody wins it. Tasty. So on that note, peeps, thank you for coming and joining. Hope you enjoyed the update there. We are going in the right direction, which is really pleasing. As I say, it's been absolutely brutal. That has been probably one of the worst, shittiest graphs I've had. When I know I've been playing okay to decent, but just not getting the rub of the green. As you can see, it's been pretty challenging. But hey, we're getting there. We're moving in the right direction. The key thing now is to get that in. That was it, as $116 minus some real cash up here, which will take us to well over 300 on the EV front, which would be cool. So on that note, peeps, come and watch the streams. Lots of tasty giveaways, and I'll see you at the table soon. Ciao now.